All right, let's do some problem solving. So we got three problems to look at here. So we'll start with the first one, which is just sort of like a standard money problem. So it says Robby starts with $30. He buys 8 raffle tickets that cost $1.50 each, as well as a hamburger and a Coke that total $6.50. How much does Robby have left? Okay, so this thing will never be the right font for me. 18. Sorry about that. Okay, so Robby has 30. Okay, and we have 8 tickets, 8 raffle tickets at 1.50. Okay, so that's 8 times 1.5, and that equals 12. Okay, so on tickets he spends 12, and then it says hamburger and a Coke total $6.50. Okay, so from here, we all know that we started with 30 minus, we have 12 and 6.50. And there's what we have left, $11.50. Okay, so really pretty straightforward. Really just calculating the stuff up and then subtracting them, and then you're done. Okay, so that's our first problem. Not too bad. Second one, I want to be able to draw out. Okay, so I'll tend to do it the same way, where I'll just read the problem first, and then we'll work it out together. Okay, so in this one it says half of an acre is used to plant corn. A fourth of what remains is used to plant wheat. Whatever is then remaining is used to plant tomatoes. What fraction of the field is planted with tomatoes? Okay, so people can get tripped up on this one pretty easily. I certainly recommend when it's ever like, we're talking, in fractions like this, half an acre, I would definitely draw it out. Okay. Unless you really think in numbers really highly. I mean, I tend to think it in numbers pretty easily, but I would still draw this one out. Okay, so they said half of an acre was corn, right? So you go like that. And C stands for corn. Okay, now you got to read this really carefully. It says a fourth of what remains is used to plant wheat. So if you just read that real quickly, you might think, okay, there's a quarter of the field, wheat, right? And then you would think, okay, what's left here? Another quarter, and that's going to be tomatoes, and then our answer is going to be a quarter. Okay, and there they just tricked you. So if we read it again, a fourth of what remains is used to plant wheat. Okay, not a fourth of the total, but a fourth of what remains. So we just did half of what remains, and therefore we get the wrong answer. Okay, so let's get rid of this thing. Let's get rid of that. Give my pen back. Okay, so they're saying a fourth of what remains. Okay, so that's going to be like that. Okay, and that's going to be wheat. Okay, and then this here is going to be tomatoes. Okay, and so as we're looking at this, so wheat was a fourth of a half, right? What do we think about this? Wheat equals 1/4, right? Which is this right here. And we already knew that corn was a half, so like all of this is a half. Wheat is a quarter of that half. So 1/4 times 1/2, 1/8, right? So wheat represents 1/8 of the field. Corn equals 1/2 of the field, right? So let's go ahead and get rid of this again. Okay, so we know that this was 1/2, right? Corn. This we just found out. Draw a little arrow over here so we have some room. was 1/8. This, which is what the question is, tomatoes, we still don't know, right? But now corn, if we wanted to try and get the denominator the same, just make the math easier for us, right? And we wanted eighths for both of them, then corn would just be 4/8. 4/8 and 1/2 are the same. And wheat was 1/8. Okay, that means corn plus wheat equals 5/8 of the field. Hopefully everybody's still with me on this. Okay, and tomatoes is what's left. So if they're 5/8, right, we need to get to 8/8 to be total. And then tomatoes are going to be 3/8. Okay, so people who really, really great at math might be able to figure this out without the diagram. I think the diagram is much more easy to sort of visualize what you're talking about. And also, big part of word problems and problem solving, read the questions carefully, right? If we go too fast, we can easily come up with the answer that tomatoes equals 1/4. Okay. And one more. And so this last one is a compounding question, like in finance. Like if your bank account, something has interest rates that compound annually, you know what that means? Okay. So before we get started, compounding continuously. It's going to be this question. Okay, so the formula for that, and don't freak out on me before we even talk about what it means. Hopefully you can read that. Okay, and so what in the world does all this mean? A equals PE to the RT. Okay, so P is principal, right, or total. That's what P means. R is rate, T is time. Okay, so then let's look at a question and see if we know how to solve it. Okay, so it says Maria invested $5,000, and so that 5,000 is going to be P, right? Because P was the total. Okay, perfect. Okay, $5,000, 3% annual rate. Okay, and so that's per year. 3% annual rate CD, compounding continuously. How much does she have after 3 years? Okay, there's our time, right? Hopefully it's starting to seem like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. Time is 3, right? Because it's compounding annually, 3 periods. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so now we have A equals 5,000, and then we will go to the point 0.03. That's the rate. 0.03 is 3% times the time, 3. Okay, and once we calculate all that out, that equals, we'll put it up here, 5,000. 0.03 times 3 is 0.09. That equals 5,471 once we calculate all that out. Okay, so that is compounding continuously, right? And compounding type question, you definitely could get one of these. I would expect one on the test, and that's really the way you go about solving it. Not too bad once you know how to just sort of plug all those in. This is the formula you need to know. A equals PE to the RT, and really focusing on P is going to be some number that you started with. R is going to be the rate that you're getting as far as a return. T equals the number of periods. Like time would be the number of periods, right? So when it's compounded annually over 3 years, there were 3 time periods. Okay, so that's problem solving for you.